Today, 8 become 4 as we career towards the sharp end of my favourite competition. I'm Jack Collins and this is the UEFA Europa League breakfast show brought to you by Kia. Today I'm joined by presenter and YouTube cult icon, Mr. James Allcott. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. This is my favourite part of the season. Quarterfinals, semi-finals, it's all kicking off. Second legs as well. This is great.
Don't forget to get in touch using the hashtag UEL breakfast if you want to tell us your thoughts on the Europa League. Coming up on today's show, we're going to be previewing tonight's fixtures and looking back at what happened last time out. But James, what is it that you love about the Europa League?
I love the opportunity of it. I think that's a big thing with the Europa League. It is this cool little spot where you can find all those new up-and-coming players. It's such a breeding ground for young stars that go on to dominate world football. And if you want to be one of those cool guys and see that player for the first time, figure out what his name is and then go, hang on, who is this guy? I think it's just the perfect place for that. And there are so many names through the years. I think someone like Didier Drogba at Marseille, you know, arriving there, taking the team to the final and doing incredible stuff there and then going on to Chelsea, becoming a huge star. But even players like David Villa at Zaragoza, you've got Andrei Ashvin at Zenit. So many incredible players that you see for the very first time in the Europa League. It's amazing.
The player that jumps out for me in that crop is Radamel Falcao, 2010 at Porto, 17 goals in 14 games. It's the most incredible run in this competition. And it's like you say, that was the moment he exploded into the wider public consciousness. And it's lovely to see that kind of breakout from those players.
Yeah, and he goes on to be the greatest Europa League goal scorer of all time. And that's what I love as well, is the fact that you can find these guys and then you can enjoy them for 10, 15 years. Look at Spurs fans with Harry Kane and what he did for them in the Europa League, first of all, getting that opportunity and taking centre stage. It's so important for these players to get that opportunity, and you see it with that long list of players that we have.
Yeah, a little bit historic there, but in recent seasons, obviously, João Felix at Benfica, Bruno Fernandes at Sporting, Kai Havertz even at Leverkusen before they got their big moves. But we're going to be talking about that a little bit later in the show. And before we do so, it's probably worth looking back at what happened last time out. After the loving I gave Gerard Moreno on this show last week, I'm now delighted to say that I can give him Performance of the Week because he scored the only goal as Villarreal beat Dinamo Zagreb at the Maximir. Only the second goal scored there this season, and only the second time in 3 seasons they've lost at home in European competition. What a man, the man for the big occasion.
Yeah, I mean, normally I would look to critique that, but to be honest, mate, I think you've got it spot on because he's just so integral to that team, isn't he? Because I think a lot of the players around him kind of do their roles and his role is scoring goals. Now going into that second leg, it being at home for them, I think, dare I say it, it looks like they've got a great chance to go through, surely.
The hard work, I would say, is potentially done.
It's only half time, isn't it?
But it is only half time. A game that's a little bit more on a knife edge, Ajax Roma. Now Roma went to Amsterdam and Ajax will be wondering how on earth they didn't win this game, but they didn't.
Yeah, it's 22 without defeat until that game. It had everything, didn't it? It had absolutely everything. I mean, generally dominance from Ajax in this game, but the missed penalty, I think we have to highlight that. Those things changed the game, and I think again going into the second leg, it's going to come down to those moments, and maybe that experience from Roma and someone like Dzeko up top could prove the difference, who knows?
Worth pointing out that the winner from Ibanez was an absolute thunderbolt, and you don't get them very often from centre-back. Arsenal, they dominated Slavia for such large swathes of this game, and now it goes from a tie where Arsenal were probably favourites to go through to a tie where they're very much not anymore.
There's just a lot of frustration when it comes to Arsenal, and that's me who's not an Arsenal fan watching them. So Arsenal fans, I mean, let us know. I imagine you're a little bit frustrated with that one as well, because the amount of chances that they had, you thought that they were going to be fine, but that equaliser and the celebrations at full time, I think, spoke volumes for Slavia Prague, because I think they could do it in the second leg.
United, though, have probably done the most to seal their progression. 2-0 away win.
Granada had moments, but kind of they're almost sort of at arm's reach a lot of the time with Man United. I think they'll be disappointed with the Rashford goal. That's just one pass from Lindelof, and he puts it away brilliantly. But I do love those diagonal runs from Rashford. He's so much better on the left, in my opinion. It was very professional, and I think that's what you've seen with this Man United team, is that they've gone from being a bit crumbly at times to now being a team that doesn't have to dominate games but can still win those games. I think they're looking very good in that time for me.
Across on social media, there was loads going on. I would start with Aaron Wan-Bissaka on Twitter. I'm sure that his friends and family will be delighted to learn that he keeps his sheets clean.
Huge relief, I think, for everyone involved. I think like, Twitter's quite a controversial place at times, but I can get on board with this. I'm okay with clean sheets. It's fine. I don't know why you needed to...
Yeah, I don't know why you decided to air it.
Yeah.
You don't air your dirty laundry.
Very good. Very good.
Granada posted this. They waited 90 years for this moment, they said, and 90 minutes, they believe that anything is possible. And that's been kind of a hallmark of their campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? You've got to remember, and this happens every year, we go, okay, the teams that are in control after the first leg will go and do it. But every single year there is something that you can't explain. And I think with Granada, it would be one of the biggest shocks that you've seen in the Europa League, especially for the position that they're in now. But why not? The whole vibe around that football club is just, it's stunning.
It is why not, isn't it?
It is why not, exactly. So why not indeed? I like it. I can hear the sort of the music as I read that tweet. Like, I'm starting to believe. Let's do it.
We're all in. Last one, and last week we did a throwback from Ajax against Roma, and I enjoyed this one. Although I'm not sure that Nigel de Jong can claim this as a assist.
I'm not having that, Jack. I'll be honest. I think, look, you've got the claim. When you've got people like Ibrahimovic in the team, so much talent in there, you're the guy who kind of gets it and gives it. You take every assist you can take.
And remember, you can get in touch with this show using the hashtag UEL Breakfast. We mentioned earlier that this competition is a platform for some of the world's best young players, and nowhere is that more evident than at Ajax's world famous academy. We spoke to Nicolas Tagliafico about the current crop of Ajax youngsters.
Son jugadores con personalidad. En este caso Ryan es un jugador que debutó de muy chico, a los 17. Dentro del campo muchas veces está gritando y está haciendo cosas que uno nunca se lo espera de un jugador tan chico, y a lo mejor eso le genera también una autoconfianza de que lo ayuda muchísimo dentro del campo. Jurien es otro jugador que me sorprendió. Es un jugador que marca su territorio, que demuestra de que para pasarlo va a ser muy difícil, y eso es algo que por ahí no veía en los jugadores holandeses. Bueno, imagínate que le dicen Brovist. Es algo fuera de lo normal, creo, ese chico. Tiene una fuerza incomparable. Yo a veces lo miro en el campo y me da como un poco de pena en los defensores que lo tienen que marcar. No tengo ninguna duda, va a ser entre uno de los mejores delanteros de Europa.
What a story Ajax is, and it continues to be one of the most enthralling stories in European competition. They saw a list the other day of the clubs that have produced the most talents in the European leagues, and Ajax right up there at the very top of it.
Yes, absolutely. The amount of players, the standard of those players, it's absolutely incredible. And you think of that phrase of the Ajax way, I think it gets forgotten a little bit. You think of Johan Cruyff and what he did at Barcelona, and what Barcelona have gone and done, and the players that they have produced and the teams they've produced. That all starts with Ajax. We need to keep coming back to Ajax and think about them and what they've done, because it's something that they are now able to almost shop around the world, this identity and culture that they've created. It's astounding, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not only the philosophy, the Ajax way, and total football of Rinus Michels and Cruyff that then came to Barcelona, and then Pep Guardiola became perhaps its greatest exponent. But actually the fact that Ajax have been able to do this again and again and again, and that comes from that reputation of being, absolute development centres for youth.
And I was thinking about Daley Blind the other day, and the fact that he's that experienced guy now. But if you look at the Ajax way and the generations of players, go back to Danny Blind, 1995. He was the experienced older head in that team, in that young team. And so the same ingredients, the same culture as it continued, it's incredible how ingrained it is. So many generations of players.
Yeah, they have that generational gap, and I often think of Justin Kluivert and Patrick Kluivert, right? Same thing. And you talk of them, you talk of the Blinds, you talk of the Kluiverts, and you're thinking about household names that have come out of this academy, right? And you know, we mentioned Cruyff, but you look at Van der Sar, and you know, every Tottenham fan will say Rafael van der Vaart in this conversation, Seedorf, Edgar Davids, and you think about the list going on and on and on, and it just seems that this conveyor belt of talent never seems to stop. And then you look at that final against Manchester United, and you look at the players that were in that side and have left, like Davinson Sanchez, Kasper Dolberg, and they move on. And then 2 years later, they're in a Champions League semi-final, and they've replaced those players. Now, Matthijs de Ligt played in both, right, sure, but you look at the players that came on in the final. Donny van de Beek came off the bench, and Frankie de Jong came off the bench, and now those players have moved on into the next, and the next generation come through, and you look at someone like a Ryan Gravenberch and a Wrench, and all of these players that continue to come off this production line. It's an incredible factory.
Talk about someone like Gravenberch coming through. I'm so excited about watching him play because, you know, he's a box-to-box midfielder, but he can play as a 6. And if you look at the numbers with this guy, you know, progressive carries, it's over 3 per 90, but he's also receiving 3 progressive passes per 90, more than that, and tackles and interceptions. You can see I can remember all these because it's 3 each time, but over 3 per 90 each time. And that's just one of those players. You've got those few experienced heads, someone like Tadic at this moment in time. But then these younger players, they understand that pathway, and they get to 18, and they're not going, oh, maybe I need to go out on loan. They're going, when am I going to get my chance in the first team? And they're getting their chance at Europa League level and taking centre stage.
Yeah, so moving away from Ajax for a little bit, another brilliant academy story is that of Samuel Chukwueze at Villarreal. Came through various Nigerian academies and then shone at the Under-17 World Cup, where Villarreal saw him and they thought, that's our man, brought him in, took him into their academy system, and he outstripped everyone. You know, he was started in the C team, then the B team, then the youth system, and then straight into the first team, where he's now become the youngest player ever to make 100 senior appearances for Villarreal.
I used to hide to go and watch in TV station when they used to watch ball, to pay and watch football. But they chased me out. They said I don't have any money. I think my friends and everybody think this football and nobody can make it through the place I grew up from. But I said no. I think this is my dream. I need to push hard. When I had a call from Villarreal, I was very, very happy. To be in an amazing club like this and a fantastic team and a good coach also. This is a dream come true. Thank you.
Another incredible story. It goes to show not only how important youth is to this competition, but how important this competition is to young players as well.
Yeah, and the impact that these young players are having on the competition this season. You're seeing it absolutely everywhere, and it's going to continue for seasons to come.
Along with our partners at Kia, we've been picking our favourite celebrations from across this season's competition. Here are our favourites from the quarter-final first legs. So our pick of the bunch there, Marcus Rashford setting Manchester United on their way to a 2-0 win at Granada. He loved it.
Yeah, and so fitting as well, another academy graduate, lovely to see.
Reminds me a little bit of him making his debut in this competition, and he wasn't supposed to start that day. He was in the squad but not in the 11 until Anthony Martial got injured in the warm-up. plays against Midtjylland, he scores twice, it is the dream debut, but this week's celebration a little bit more muted than that one.
He's a little bit older, he's a little bit wiser, he scored a lot
few more
goals as well. No?
People in the crowd include his friend, Dean Henderson, who's now in goal, and you see that in the video.
Again, that says everything about the Europa League. You've got to keep your eyes open, because even the guys in the stands could be going in goal next time you watch a Man United Europa League game.
Perhaps if he scores the winner in the final, we'll see the repeat. He'll be running back down the other end to hug Dean Henderson. We'll get a go again. On this show, we've been focusing on celebrations this season, and so have Kia over on their YouTube channel. This week, they've done a very special collaboration with the 1M dance troupe, inspired by Branislav Ivanovic's winner in the 2013 Europa League final. So at this point in the show, we normally pick a top 5, but this week it's going to be a little bit different. There are so many brilliant stories of youth in this competition, James. I've asked you to pick out 5 that caught your eye.
The first one that caught my eye, it's a family affair. It's Daniel Maldini taking his bow in the Europa League for AC Milan. An incredible story. You've got Cesar Maldini and then his son, Paolo Maldini, and then Paolo Maldini's son. It's very hard to say. So you've got grandfather, father and son all playing for AC Milan and accumulating 1,000 appearances for AC Milan.
I love that Paolo Maldini's shirt number was semi-retired, but only to be allowed to be taken out of retirement for his son.
He's a really good player, really exciting player. It's quite a direct winger. I think he has 32 carries per game, so loves to dribble with the ball. Very different from his dad and his granddad as well. But just a fantastic story, and I'm really excited to see where his career can go and if he can stick it out for 25 years like his father did. I'm going to go to Manchester United now and SHORETIRE, who made his debut. It's just the history of Manchester United. Since 1937, 4,000 matches this is. There's always been an academy graduate in the matchday squad, and that continues to this day with the likes of SHORETIRE coming through. And I just think that's so ingrained in what Man United want to be, and think of those players that have gone on to become great. Maybe SHORETIRE is the next one, who knows? Speaking of that, I mean, we go down that same route, and maybe a little bit more different, a bit more of a sort of modern look at really diving into the academies, the youth structure, and getting it right is AZ Alkmaar, because it's ridiculous what they're doing now. They're so committed to having their academy graduates playing for their team, and they've got some really exciting players coming through, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Teun Koopmeiners stands out, captain of the side. He's like a quarterback defensive midfielder, and I love this. He's got such a beautiful ball strike. He's a dead ball specialist. He reads the game absolutely wonderfully, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him make a big step this summer, to be honest.
Absolutely, and the fact that they've got over 40% of their starting 11 being those academy graduates. Look at Windle, who a lot of clubs are looking at now. Stengs as well, I really like on that right-hand side as well. Really exciting players, and they've really doubled down to almost kind of get the history a little bit quicker by putting those players centre stage. Next up, I've gone with Arsenal. And again, you think about Arsene Wenger and his legacy for this football club. I think when you look at the Europa League, it has become a place where they allow these players to shine. And people like Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka, I'd like to focus on Smith-Rowe a little bit more, just because I think he really has taken the Europa League and kind of made it his and made that statement to the manager and said, I don't need to go out on loan again. I need to stay here and I need to start playing. And he's done that.
This was the platform he used to launch. This was his launch pad. And, with Saka, there was already a sense that Saka was almost a guaranteed starter for Arsenal wherever he played. And he is such a versatile Swiss Army knife. I have taken to call him the Ealing Eusebio, and I will be continuing to do so.
Okay.
But
if you must.
If you must. But in the case of Smith-Rowe, I think it is the fact that he wasn't playing domestically, and he got that opportunity in this competition and took full advantage of it.
And finally, I'd love to talk about Florian WIRTZ at Bayer Leverkusen, because for him to come from Cologne, to go there and then find himself all of a sudden playing in the Bundesliga, playing in the Europa League as well for Bayer Leverkusen, is an astounding achievement for him to take that in his stride. And he is just such an exciting player.
Yeah, I think the thing hanging over him was always going to be, oh, you're the next Kai Havertz. They're quite different profiles as players, but that said, he was always going to have that comparison because he was the next to step up in line. And I think already he's breaking Havertz's records, right? WIRTZ became the youngest player to score in the Bundesliga, but also then became the youngest player to score 5 goals. It keeps going, but I think the biggest kind of mark of his pedigree and of his ability already is the fact that he was basically fast-tracked into the Germany senior system. He's missed the under-21 Euros because Jogi Löw decided that he was ready, given his domestic displays, given his displays in this competition, to make that step up to the senior setup.
These kind of players, incrementally, they raise the standard of the game, and they do things that make you go, wow. And that's what we're all here for. And so a player of that quality, you know, taking the opportunity that he's had so far, it's just so exciting.
Right, mate, it's time to put you on the spot with the famous paddles. I'm going to need to know who you think is making the final of this competition.
Okay, I think I've got it. Hang on. I don't want to reveal it already.
Ooh, okay. All right, Manchester United, Villarreal. Any particular reasons?
I just think I love Dani Parejo, and he needs revenge against Arsenal for the Valencia semi-final a while back. So that is exactly why they will make it to the final. And Man United, I think, are the favourites. I expect them to go all the way, and they're looking pretty good.
So I was going to ask, the next question was going to be who you think is going to win it.
I think if Man United don't win it, then something's gone horribly wrong. Simple as that.
All right, well, that's all we have time for on this week's Europa League breakfast show. All that's left for me to do is say thank you very much, Mr. James Allcott.
It's been my pleasure, mate.
Thank you all for watching at home. And don't forget to use the hashtag UEL breakfast to get in touch with the show. I've been Jack Collins. I'm off for a tostada. We'll see you next time.